We've identified the random woman in the back of the room.
I like that. You think you're funny? XOXO.
XOXO. Softens the blow.
Gossip Girl.
She was a warm-up act,
Yes, I've heard about this big fight that happened. But you know what? I think on that note, on the you think you're funny?
I don't.
The shade of it all. I love it. Let's get some clapping going. Should we do that MC thing where it's like, can I get this half of the room?
I'll like emerge from behind.
Oh my god, he's got a partition.
No, I don't think that's supposed to happen. Alex is watching upstairs like, stop wrecking my place. Sorry, Alex.
You're not like Beyonce with the partition there. It's more of a...
No, you're not like Beyonce.
I'm very much like Beyonce.
You have my fucking stage.
I'm the Beyonce of comedy. Is a note that I have written myself and put on my vision board. So let's... Actually, Beyonce and Jessica Ennis are the two people on my vision board. I'm going to actualize myself to become them. Apparently not a white woman is what I want to be. But please, guys, put your hands together for Martin Huxter!
I realise the microphone isn't necessary, but it just makes it seem right? We'll keep it going. Guys, how good was Rebecca? Keep an applause going for her for the first half. Rebecca Shortall and Keith acting out a very awkward sitcom. So, guys, I am the second of two comedians you're seeing tonight. Comedians by nature are very, very lazy people. I am definitely not an exception of that. I am very, very lazy by nature. Let me give an example of how lazy I am. Does everyone know the song Smooth Criminal by Michael Jackson? Yeah. If I wrote that song, this is how it would go. Annie, are you okay? Are you sure? All right, cool. Was that sound of the window crescendo? Oh, I don't know. It doesn't matter. So as some of you in the waiting room may have realised, I grew up with 3 sisters and no dad. Yeah, exactly, Sophie. Exactly. So I'm straight, but like just. I feel like there was like a contract between like God and my family. It was like, one of you is going to have to be homosexual, and we're all in a line. And I was just like, oh, shall I? And my sister was like, no, don't worry, I've got this. I've got this. It's fine. Just go back and play with my Barbies, you little prick. Because I feel like they need to create a new category for me. Because there's straight, there's gay, there's bisexual, and there's whatever it is that I am, which is straight. But while having sex with a girl in a hotel room, I may have kind of sort of sang along to the Golden Girls theme tune. You are, of course, the most cultured audience we've had so far. Everybody else is looking at me like, what the fuck is the Golden Girls? In case you didn't know, it's basically soft porn. My relationship with my mother became a little bit strained when I was younger. She started to date a guy who was a little bit of a racist. By a little bit of a racist, I mean he was a massive fucking racist. He'd come out, he'd be like, oh, these foreigners, they come around here, they take our women, they take our jobs, they make no effort to integrate with the local culture, the local customs, nothing. But luckily, I didn't have to see much more of them because they moved to Spain. Spain being the place where the English have made their mark by basically just pointing and grunting and putting ketchup on everything, even ice cream. But she was a typical parent, sweet lady. I don't know if there are any parents in the room, but parents say crazy shit. Like I would be, for example, I'd be staying up watching TV a little bit later than I should do as an 8-year-old. She'd come home at 2:00 in the morning, find me watching TV. Hi, Keith. And she'd be like, what are you doing? And I'd be like, I'm just watching TV. And she'd be like, oh, you'll be watching TV in a minute. And I'd be like, yeah, you're threatening me with the thing that I'm currently doing. If anybody wants to know what my childhood was like, along with my other sister, I once threw a toy record at my other sister's head and she ducked and it smashed our front room window. And my mother came in and had a go at my sister for ducking down. So, to be honest, we literally never had a fucking chance. We were all just completely screwed from birth. No. Oh, you done? You done? You done? You done? You done? Women in the waiting room, are you done? But no, I mean, my mother's a nice person. She's a nice person. She's a weak person. So as a result of that, I don't find like passive weak women very attractive at all. It's not my thing. I don't find it attractive. I don't think it's had any long-term effects on me, as far as I'm aware. But no, I don't find it attractive. So guys, about 3 years ago, I was dating a dominatrix. The relationship ended, of course, because her dick was a little bit bigger than mine. I say a little bit, of course, because I still have my pride. And like Rebecca, I'm also a fucking narcissist. But it's a lot easier to get this out on stage now than actually pay for a therapist of any kind. I say that because I don't think I'd be very good at therapy. I feel like it would go something along these lines. Therapist would step in and say, right, I've got an idea. We'll play a word association game. I'll say a word and you say whatever springs to mind. And I'd say, cool. And she'd say, rainbows. And I'd say, I hope my ex dies in a fire. That's pretty dark, guys. Pretty dark. Sophie definitely tortures animals. I'm almost certain of it. She's like, yep. While we're on the subject, is it a little bit weird? I just need to ask you a question. This is a genuine question I hadn't planned on asking, but if I find it really enjoyable to watch videos of cats being made to take a bath against their will and really, really not liking it, and I watch that shit, like I would never step on an insect. I don't like hurting creatures. I've got that kind of like nature. I don't like hurting anyone. But there's something about cats. They're just little fucking pricks. I literally enjoy it. You're like, oh, yeah. I'm like, yeah, that's it. Get it wet. Get it wet. Oh! I know that sounds like aggressively sexual, but I'm talking about cats. And, oh, Keith. So much, old Keith. So like Rebecca, I'm massively big fan of America. I went over there 11 years ago. I go back a lot. My girlfriend's actually getting here tomorrow morning. You're like, why couldn't she make your show? And this is why. But America's a cool place. A lot of English people have never been there. They think everyone in America is stupid, and it's just simply not true. There's like a ratio thing. So in England, there's like this many clever people and this many stupid people. But in America, there's like this many clever people, but this many stupid people. So it kind of gives people the wrong impression. But I don't know if you've ever been walking around like Times Square and another busy place in America. You always get that same tourist walk up to you like, oh, you're from England? Do you know John? Do you know John from London? Do you know my friend John from London? And you're like, yeah. And then most people get annoyed with it, but I like to go along with it. I'm like, yeah, I know John. Motherfucker broke up my marriage. How dare you? How dare you? So guys, you get a lot of religion in America as well. It's one of the things I'm not massively happy about. The way I feel about religion is the way like I feel about guys who feel like doing the top button of their shirt up. Like, if it brings you comfort and happiness, that's great. It's not my style, but if you like it, that's absolutely cool. Because especially in America, you get weird shit being blamed on by religion. I feel like Rebecca had drink break, so I'm going to have one myself. I won't see if I can burp on cue. I'll just carry on. Because I live in Hove, actually. I should actually mention, I live in Hove now. I'm going to multi-narrative 2 jokes at the same time. Because I do have a female brain, remember? 3 sisters. Just. I grew up in Crawley, right? Yeah, the one person that said that wasn't my sister who I know lives in Crawley. Like, the rest of you, you're so judgmental. You remind me of my 8th kid I had when I was 6. All right, Keith. Oh, fuck you, Keith, for naming... Fuck you, Keith, for accurately naming my high school. Do you know what? Keith's earned a round of applause. There's no getting around it. Well done, Keith. I don't know if you know, but there was a very famous experiment that took place not quite a while ago where they got people in under a pretext of something else, and they got them to walk down a corridor, and then they got an old person to walk past them, and they saw like how many people would slow down, you know, like out of empathy and like consideration. You know, you walk past, you know, steaming past an old person, you go, oh, I feel bad. And in the original experiment, I think it was something like 60%, 70% of people actually slowed down when they walked past an old person. Apparently, they recreated this experiment in Crawley, and apparently 60% of people actually slowed down, which is, I think, is really respectable. It goes to the nature of people in Crawley. They're nice people. I mean, yeah, like 20% stopped and mugged her, but that's not necessarily the point. But yeah, all right. We didn't catch your name. So this is Keith, and you're David.
My dad.
Rebecca's dad. How do you, is this why you're beaming with pride?
You never know.
You never know about your children?
You might know.
I feel it just got even darker than the therapy joke suddenly. This is very, very strange. But yeah, I live in Hove now. I used to commute to Hove from Crawley when I lived there, and I used to, of course, have to use Southern Rail. Ooh, buzzwords. Southern Rail is strange because Southern Rail is like having a relationship with a very abusive alcoholic parent, because they cause so much abuse and heartache and pain and torture in your life. But the weird thing is kind of you have to keep, you know, dialogue going, because you might rely on them to give you a lift to work in the morning. So it's very, very strange. So obviously there's a debate going on at the moment between some woman, some other dude, Theresa May and Jeremy Corbyn. Like, I think we should send Gordon Ramsay out into the trenches. What do you think? Anybody else Gordon Ramsay fan? I fucking love Gordon Ramsay. Like, I'm not sure we would necessarily... Why are you looking very uncomfortable all of a sudden, David? He's an arse. All right, fair enough. Well, that's, I would say one opinion, but I'm sure that's actually more than one opinion. I feel like we wouldn't get on very well if me and Gordon Ramsay ever met, because he takes a lot of pride in his food, and he makes sure that everything's perfect before he sends it out, whereas I don't, clearly, which is why I'm telling this joke. So, does anybody watch Kitchen Nightmares, the show that he does? Yeah, I love Kitchen Nightmares, especially love the American episodes, because they're so much more dramatic. Like, so much more dramatic. Like, before, just as he first goes in and he tries the food, it's always the same reaction. They're always like really apprehensive. Like, fuck you, Gordon, you can't tell me what to do. You're not my real dad. And then there's like half an hour of like food and this and reverbs. And by the end, they're like, now that I think about it, Gordon Ramsay taught me how to love again. Gordon Ramsay is the wind beneath my wings. Definitely. Oh, that's right. I was talking about religion before. Where's my drink? Oh, big Cronenberg for people that did well. Does everyone remember, by any chance, because I'm so topical, the thing that happened about 6 years ago? Lots of birds were like falling dead out of the sky, and lots of fish were washing dead upshore. Does anyone vaguely remember that, please? Thanks, Rebecca. So, if you didn't know what happened, this is what happened. Lots of birds were falling out of the sky and dying, and fish were washing dead upshore. So now we're all on the same page. What was cool about it, there was lots of crazy crackpot theories as to why this was happening. Some people are asked because of the weather, it's disrupting the flight patterns of the birds. And some people are asked because of fireworks, it's scaring them. But luckily, there was a diehard Christian lady called Cindy Jacobs. And she came along and she solved this mystery. Apparently, it wasn't because of the weather, it wasn't because of fireworks, it was because of gays in the military. Yeah, I know, it seems obvious now, I've told you the answer. Well, you know, because you can imagine the conversation with God. You'd be like, yo, God, all these guys having sex with no shame whatsoever. And God would be like, what? And the fish and the birds are just letting this shit happen. Where's my lightning gun? I've got to admit, when I found out my sister was a lesbian, first thing I did was murder my goldfish. Rest in peace, Fluffy. That's funny because fish don't have fur. No. No, Sophie, you're right. They don't have fur. So, guys, I work in sales when I'm not being hilarious. The weird thing about working in sales is like you're basically walking towards someone with a deck of cards in your hand going, I'm not going to do a trick on you. I'm not going to do a trick on you. I'm not going to do a trick on you. And it's very, very strange. But I've had a lot of other jobs before this. I love my job now. my previous job, they used to fly people from all around the world, and they'd have like banquets of food set on the table, and they get everyone together and they go, how can we save money? And they'd be like, I don't know, maybe the guy in the corner playing the harp isn't necessary. You know? Oh, mild standing ovation. It's been a while. Thanks, Jesus. It's so true, right? It is true. Did you get a memo about the email I was going to send you about the memo? Is that kind of company? Before that, I worked in a call center, and I know it's annoying when comedians say this, but I have to say this. This is actually a true story. As was that. We had a harp in the corner. So I worked with a girl in a call center called... No, I'm not going to say her name, but it was definitely Tanya. And Tanya took her cat to the vet because it wasn't feeling very well, which, by the way, is a great reason to take your cat to the vet. And they said, Tanya, your cat's got diabetes. And she said, is that genetic then? Because my nan had diabetes. But the punchline is that I earned the same money as that girl for 4 years. So, shame on you. Basically. That's what I mean, you can't write it. You just sit next to the person and you're like, oh, thanks for the joke that I'll tell 7 years later. That actually happened. You know, I probably owe us some money for this, I don't know. But I've worked with a ton of people. I worked in a restaurant, I worked in a bar. When I worked in a bar, I remember training a guy on his first day and he come up to me and go, Martin, this guy wants to put ice in the J2O. And I was like, okay, fine, have a J2O of ice. And he was like, but how are we going to get the ice into the bottle? I was like, I don't know. How about we smash it over your stupid head? It's just not necessary. But yeah, I've had a lot of jobs. Been a lot of interviews. Does anybody actually generally like going on interviews? Anybody enjoy it? No, I didn't used to. I do now because I'm like Rebecca. I'm a narcissist. I like the attention. But I have a trouble just sticking to the point. Like, I hate generic interview questions. I once got asked, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Yeah, that old classic. And do you know what I said? Do you know what I said, David? I said halfway through my 10-year plan. I've said that 3 times and I've got the job every single time. It fucking backfires, I know, like, it's true, it's actually happened. Like, Mr. Huxter, what do you think you could bring to this company? Emotional violence. I actually worked with another guy, he left about 6 months ago, this actually happened. There's a guy called Stephen, he was like, oh, where are you going to? He was like, oh, I'm off to see my meat connection. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? He's like, yeah, I'm off to see my meat connection. I was like, what do you mean? Yeah, my meat connection, the guy I get my meat from. I was like, what? Yeah, so you go into a shop, yeah, and you buy some meat. Yeah. Steve, are you talking about butchers? Talk about make something sound more dramatic than it has to. Like, oh, I'm off to get my fluoride fix. Yeah, what, sorry? My fluoride fix. I'm just going to buy some toothpaste from Superdrug. Like, come on, man. Just say what it is. So, guys, when I was younger, I fell in love with a guy. Whoa! Freudian slippers. No, I fell in love with a girl called Jess, and she actually, when she was like trying to let me down after a while when we've been dating, she said, you meet people, you learn what you can from them, and you move on. And of course, because I was 17 and I just read Catcher in the Rye, I was like, no! You meet people and you hold on to them forever. But like, I've always been interested in romance, especially what technology is doing to romance these days. It's making it like very, very strange. Because, you know, years ago when couples would meet and then like get parted, there'd be like a longing. They'd write romance novels and things like that. And because of technology, it doesn't happen anymore. Say I met a girl, oh, we had like the best conversation ever. Our souls connected, and then we got parted. Very, very depressed. Like, you know, in the olden days, I would go home and written 3 books about it. But now it's like I went home, looked her up on Facebook, and I found her. You know, and then I had some pie. It's not got that same kind of romantic gesture to it. And it's affecting everything. Like, poetry is going to be shit now as well. And I like poetry. I like trying to, like, take my hands to poetry myself. Like, don't you think if violets were orange, poetry would be a lot more challenging? I was just waiting just in case. But like violets are orange. Oh, fuck it. But I've written my own poem if you'd like to hear it tonight. This is me at my romantic. And here goes a little something like this. Roses are red. Violets are red. Everything is red. I think my eyes are bleeding. Sophie and Keith still in the show once again. But I actually did a speed dating event a few years ago, like literally just for material, which may have worked. So I turned up. It was in London, and immediately you notice there's more women than there were men. Okay, right, and it was the same generic questions, you know. What do you do? Where are you from? Brothers and sisters, blah, 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 blah. And I don't like generic questions because I don't like to think people can be encapsulated by like one piece of information. Like, what do you do for your job? Your job should not define you as a person. For example, her name was Lola. She was a complex individual who couldn't be defined by her job title alone. I mean, granted, it wouldn't have sold as many records, but I still feel like it gets to the point. So we're going around the room, and I get to what I can only describe as the least attractive woman in the room. And she's struggling. We're struggling to like find some common ground. And I said, look, like, what did you see? Have you seen any films recently? What's your favorite movie? She said, I did recently watch The Human Centipede. And I said, probably not a good thing to bring up on a date. You know, like even if it's only like 5 minutes long. And they had paper and pens, like little pads, I presume for people to exchange like information, exchange numbers. And is that also true? I feel like I have to distinguish what's true and what's not. So you're like, everything else is bullshit. But somebody had actually written the words "help me," and I said, "What's that?" And she was like, "The last guy wrote that." I felt kind of bad. I was like a little bit bad. So at this point, I'm just steaming drunk, and I get around to the last table of people, and I'm losing my shit with the same questions, and I was like moaning, and then finally the woman I was opposite, she was like, well, if these questions are so generic and tedious, how about you come up with something interesting to say? And I was like, fine, I will. So I looked in the eye and I said, if you had to rape an animal, what animal would you rape? And like without missing a beat, the woman next to her was just like, giraffe. And like everyone in the room was just like, yeah, giraffe, that makes sense, right? Yeah, giraffe. Yeah. Like, don't you think giraffes probably get self-conscious at parties? You know, a giraffe's just like a horse in a concert trying to see something. I don't know. You're right, Sophie. Oh, so, I think we've met the most empathetic human being of all time. Wow, I've never seen anything like that. Wow, you're right, Sophie. Do you need a moment? Sorry, I need a drink. So we'll just sit here. We'll sit here and we'll all think about the plight of giraffes. Don't be sorry. You obviously have a big heart. That's good.
Are you having a giraffe, Sophie?
You having a giraffe? Oh, David.
Sorry.
David and Keith and Sophie battling for attention. Sophie's faking a nervous breakdown. Keith and David are taking turns. Again. So, apparently, right? Apparently, in Japan, nobody is having sex. Nobody's having sex in Japan, so much to the point that the government are having to intervene. They're actually spending money to get people to have sex. I know, right? They're paying money to get people to fuck, which is weirdly, ironically, kind of like the opposite of what our government are doing to us, which is like, you know, fucking us for money. But I was trying to figure out the reason why, and apparently there's a motto in the school system in Japan, and it's called, the nail that stands up must be hammered down. The nail that stands up must be hammered down. It's deep, right? Yeah. Which is basically like the English equivalent of, oi, you, no! And I feel like if they had it in other parts of the world, it would be very different. Like, for example, in America, it'd be like, the kids are too fat to stand up. And in England, it'd be like, the kids are so drunk, they fall down. And I started thinking about millennials and like younger people. Apparently, younger people are having sex less than any other generation. Like, they say they are, but they're not. And I think people put this down to technology. Like, people just can't go across the room and have a conversation with people the way that they used to be able to. And I always feel like if you take younger people, at least somewhere really exotic or adventurous, like the pyramids or, I don't know, the Grand Canyon, they'd be looking at it, but they're like, yeah, I mean, it's all right, but it looked better with like a Snapchat filter and like a battery symbol up in the corner or something. That's a lot better joke if you don't fuck up the word Snapchat. Oh, look, it's the moon. No, that's a text message. I find it very, very strange that people are shy in the first place. It's a very, very odd thing. Like, you know, not to bring down the mood in the room, but you're going to die. Everyone you've ever met is going to die. All your family going to die. And no one's going to ever remember anything you did. Like, if you try to name, like, people from, like, around Jesus' time to now, like, what are you going to come up with? Like, 10 people? There's, like, Jesus, Henry VIII, Napoleon, Joan of Arc, bunch of other fucking people. You know, it doesn't really matter. And this is all down to the fact that humans and technology are merging into one. They're becoming the same thing. And everything's just energy, guys. Everything's just energy. There's good energy, there's bad energy. Let me give you an example. Did you know, Keith, that the average sperm has 37.5 megabytes of information in it? No, I didn't think you did, Keith, which is why I asked you. If you'd have just said yes, I'd have been like, fuck, Keith, you fucked with my rhythm. Yeah, 37.5 megabytes. That's crazy. Like, so that means the average ejaculation from has 1,500 terabytes of information. That's insane. So, are there any women in the room that get really annoyed that after sex their partners fall asleep immediately? So you're like literally the only obvious couple in the room. So, all eyes on you, Sophie. Now you want the attention. You're not happy about it. Does he fall asleep?
Yes.
It's not surprising. He literally just ejaculated like the entire Netflix catalogue. Like Rebecca was talking about manspreading earlier. Rebecca was talking about manspreading earlier. It's not surprising. Like men walk around with nature's USB stick between their legs. Like technology's changed over time. Like the floppy disk. Sorry. The floppy disk could carry 1.4 megabytes worth of information. Not a lot. So, like, Keith, for example, your unerect penis could just about contain the instrumental in Bryan Adams' Everything I Do for You. How do you feel about that, Keith? I mean, don't be sad. I mean, your erect penis could pretty much just about cover the whole song.
I could do the album.
Oh, Keith, you've been a legend. Guys, I'm so much happier that I've been drinking tonight. I had to do this the other night when I wasn't drinking. Do you know what's so much better than not drinking?
What?
Drinking. Yeah. Sophie knows. She was way ahead of that punchline. She's like, fucking drinking, motherfucker. Get to the point. So, guys, I'm just going to finish on one last point, which is technology aside, whatever happens to us in the future, happiness is the most important thing. A lot of people think that money can buy happiness. I'm not sure. Like, the old saying goes, money can't buy happiness, but I look pretty fucking sexy crying in a helicopter. You guys have literally been the best audience of all time, and I've had so much fun tonight, and I know I speak for Rebecca as well. Thank you so much for coming down here. We've had a blast. Let's all get drunk. I guess I have to walk off stage now.
Freedom came when all the grit washed away, faded like chocolate left out in the rain. Freedom from the wish to one day overcome, one with all creation of the one.